Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Payson. Welcome back to everyone who's already a subscriber to the show. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. Always honored to have heavyweight professional MMA fighter now coming off his first pro MMA win off a big TKO round one win is Raiden Kovacs. Raiden, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back here, man.
Always great having you on the show. I got to interview you. We've mentioned it every show. Way back
Mhm,
before the beard, before the hair, when you were much younger looking as an
mhm,
amateur. Now you're all the way up in the pro ranks. Got a
mhm.
big win. Break it down for us. As long as the fight lasted, I'm sure there's a lot we can still talk about in that one round.
Yeah, the fight lasted, I think it was either 47, under 50 seconds. So I was pretty confident the fight was going to go one of two ways, and my team and I, our suspicion was correct. Because I had the range advantage. My opponent elected to basically started throwing like swinging punches, so hooks and stuff. And I, being prepared for that, I was covering. And when you go wide, you leave yourself for a narrow straight,
Yeah.
which I had countered with. I had clipped them, which at this point, this is where like my memory gets a little fuzzy, and we haven't gotten the video back. But I remember clipping him with a jab, at which point my corner tells me I then kicked him. I think I jabbed him again, which pushed him back. I pursued with his back on the cage, at which point they tell me I threw a hook. I have no recollection of throwing a hook. Um, I just remember hitting him again and seeing the kind of the record skip.
Mm,
And at that point, I was like, okay, cool, easy takedown. Because he wasn't fully cognizant. And I remember I shot in for a double leg, and my hands locked pretty quickly. It was a very easy entry due to the fact that he wasn't fully cognizant.
yeah.
So it was a good read on my part. As I took him down, pinned the arm with my knee, had the other arm pinned with my right arm. So in a side control crucifix position,
Oh,
where because I had both arms pinned, one with my knee, one with my one arm, it left essentially me my I was able to throw elbows without anything blocking me and
right.
without the ability to him to defend himself. I think after about 10 or 15 elbows, the ref, had to call a stop to the contest. Um, I talked to him after the fight. Anthony is a very great guy, so definitely go give him a follow and support at a two ton Tony Ciampa, I believe, on Instagram. But I think I talked to him after the fight, and he was basically like, "Yeah, from start to finish, it was just record skip after record skip." And he's like, "I just remember getting clipped, and then waking up at various points throughout the fight." And he's like, "I think I woke up on the ground with the ref calling over, and he was like, 'Hey, like what happened?'" So I think there was some kind of question on like, well, was he arguing with the ref after the fight? I don't think he was. If I recall what he had said, he just was like, "Hey, I don't know what had happened." I think he said when we had the takedown and he went down, I think he said he hit his head and lost consciousness there. Um, and that's just that's how the fight game goes, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice that you guys had a cordial conversation afterwards. I always think that's nice where fighters are respectful to each other, and that's kind of your experience too. Really cool variety. I know 47, 50 seconds, but to be able to strike in that under a minute, you struck at distance, which is going to be a big deal. You're a really tall, big, long heavyweight,
Yeah,
and a lot of heavyweights. Including, unfortunately, big Roy Country Nelson, who I think was
mhm.
much more well-rounded than he ended up fighting. Of course, he's a monster. Do not come hunt me
Yeah,
down, Roy. It's just he fought very one-dimensional, even though he had more skills. And I think what you showed is you fought long. Obviously, if there was a hook in there, that's that short range. And then to do an actual takedown, I thought you were going to say he fell over, but to be able to transition to an actual double leg is great because that's you changing levels. Every once in a while, injured guys blindly strike back, right? So it's a good idea to change your level so you don't get clipped coming in. And then you went to a position that I think is really great because even if for some reason his chin is made of granite and he doesn't go out, in that crucifix side control position, you've got like John Bones Jones did a great job from elbows on Vladimir Matashenko in one of his upcoming fights. I'm kind of picturing that, given that you said there were short elbows and,
Yeah.
and he had basically no way to protect himself. That's just a well-rounded, diverse skill set. Really great stuff. Coming off your first pro MMA win, your pro career up till now hadn't been going the best. What does it feel like confidence wise? You're at a great gym. You're obviously, headed in the right direction. What are your thoughts about going forward?
Well, my most of my thoughts, I don't know. I tend not to get too much like I don't get these like big ecstatic feelings of joy when I want to fight. I usually just feel relief.
Sure.
Um, you know, funny enough, my confidence was really never an issue because I always felt good in training. The thing is when you train as much as I do, you know, there's no way you cannot be confident because it is something you're spending every day doing. And if you're working with a good team and you're making progress and you're making not just the hours you put in, but you make like a concerted effort to get better, and not just like mindlessly go to the gym and just, hey, I'm just doing reps here and I'm kind of checked out mentally. Like I make a concerted effort every day. So it really wasn't my confidence that was an issue. I was more scared
Mm.
of things outside of my control. That's what I was antsy about going into this one. Because I had like leading up to this one, I had a 2 year period where I had about, like 4 fights was canceled within a week of the event.
Mm.
And my other two previous fights, one was an early stoppage due to a ref calling it. I have no idea why he called it because I was still moving and defending myself. I personally feel it was a bad stoppage, but that's the game. Sometimes the ref calls it, and you don't agree with it. Regardless of right or wrong, it happened. Now with my other fight, my foot ended up. I got kicked in the nerve, and I got drop foot,
Oh,
similar to like what happened to Sugar O'Malley, and that made competing way harder. There was a point where I took a step and I actually stumbled, and then as I was stumbling, my opponent made the intelligent read and came in and was able to get the TKO. So within this 2 year period, I'm kind of going like, fuck, dude, like there are just things I can't control, whether that's the ref, the fights getting canceled, or just like my foot, which is almost like an injury, not quite, but just my foot going down. Like I can't, like there was a point where the foot wasn't like moving and I couldn't do anything. That's more of what gave me anxiety
sure.
going into it. And the thing about that is, you know, any advice anyone's going to give you, and it's correct, is you just can't worry about the things you can't control.
Yeah.
But when there's this like long period of what I feel things outside of my control just going wrong and kind of setting me back, you feel cursed. You just feel like you can't catch a break. So it was this weird kind of feeling of like, well, I'm confident because I work hard. I know what I'm capable of. But shit, what if just the roll of the dice doesn't go my way? Um, so at first it was relief, um, and probably second was gratitude because I might have mentioned this beforehand, but what I have personally done in my camps, start of my career, end of my career, the amount of effort I've put in has never changed. But my pool of people has gotten bigger. So, for example, this was the first fight I went into that I had extra coaches. I started gymnastics. It was my first one with a management team, which they made my life a lot easier. Um, and I feel one of the reasons why we were so successful was not because I had worked any harder, because I'd worked just as hard as I did previously, but I had more support. And I think a big issue with a lot of things, not just athletics, is there's this kind of idea of just, oh, you didn't work hard enough, right? You just
Mhm.
have to grind more. I feel like that is counterintuitive. There's plenty of people I know who work way too hard and they grind themselves down to the bone,
Right.
and nobody is a self-made man. That is one of my biggest pet peeves in this sport. I hate when somebody gets up on stage, whether they're a rock star, actor, athlete, politician, whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I did all of this."
Mm.
It's like, no, you had help. Like for me as a fighter, I have a big team of coaches. I have teammates who let me beat up on them every day and who beat me up. I have a management team doing this. I have a personal trainer doing this. I have a 6-year-old gymnastic girl who's giving me advice,
Yeah.
to help me do a flip over a bar.
Yep.
You
We talked
I have,
about a lot of that last time.
yeah,
I think you said she was 8. Let's not call her
yeah.
6,
It's
but
right. It's
whatever it
something
is, a little kid. And the best
little
part
kid.
was people should go
Yeah,
watching your last interview. You literally said at one point, she was like, if you're not going to do it right, I'm going to
yeah,
walk away. And it's like, oh my goodness, being
yeah,
schooled
yeah,
by being schooled by an elementary school student
yeah,
is great. But that does go a long way. And I think attitude, you mentioned control the controllables. There's a wonderful gentleman who survived the Holocaust years ago as a Jew and
yeah.
wrote a great book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And
Mm,
that's literally kind of what you're describing, although his goes a lot
mhm,
deeper. Obviously, you should really listen to it.
mhm,
It's for free on YouTube. It's one of the most sort of significant books of the 20th century. But anyhow, he always said when you're challenged with a situation you can't change, like the bad luck stuff, like stuff you can't
yeah,
change. You're challenged by the opportunity to change yourself, change your mindset, change how you respond, right? As opposed to giving up and thinking, oh, I'm just cursed. You change your mindset to I can persevere, I can keep going, I can
yeah,
manage this, you can recover. There's a lot of great things. Another line he says in that book is that any freedom can be taken from a man except the freedom to choose one's response to any given situation, which is what
yeah,
you're talking about. You can't necessarily prevent yourself from bad things happening, but you can focus on how you control your response and your attitude. So, free piece of advice for people. And it's only about a 4-hour book. It's a pretty strong, short book. If you like listening to books on tapes on YouTube, there's about 4 different versions, all free on YouTube. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's really, really, really great. It's a great mindset book. That's really
mhm,
what it's about. It's about how do you persevere through, in his case, the Holocaust or trauma and things like that. But back to you, sir, after
yeah,
the kind of the soapbox there. What now that you've talked about your mindset, you talked about gratitude, you talked about acceptance, and what some would call existentialism. Making
yeah.
meaning of a situation, which is really great. What's next for you? And now that you've got that monkey off your back, as some people say, like the gorilla off your back, as far as feeling like things weren't going right, things went great for
Yeah.
you. What's next for you going forward, or what's your mindset going forward?
I have the belief of don't change anything, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
I don't think there's any quick shortcut to the top of the mountain. It's just keep training, keep competing, which I've fortunately I haven't been able to compete that much these past 2 years due to all the cancellations. But I talked to my management team within an hour after the event, and I said, "Hey, let's book the next one."
Mhm.
I don't like the idea of getting complacent or riding coattails. My idea is just, hey, let's go on to the next one. I'm progressively kind of a person where I'm never satisfied. I got the win. I'm like, cool, whatever. Well, fuck. Now what do I do? I guess we got to do the next one. To the to the criticisms of like my team. My trainer was on the phone with me on Easter, where he just goes like, "Can you just take like 5 seconds and just enjoy this?"
Enjoy it. You're like, nope,
Yeah.
keep
I
going.
just yeah, yeah. It's all right. It's the next one. Uh, that's and I'm not saying that's necessarily the healthiest. You should enjoy your wins definitely, but this is something you can only do for a very short amount of time in your life. So I'm focused on, well, let's get the next one started. You know, um, so we're hoping May, sometime in the
Okay.
summer. We'll see. I'm I talk to my management team counsels me. I'm a very impatient person, and they have counseled me to like, hey, well, we want to keep you active, but let's make smart decisions. So I think they've talked about sending me to some locations to train at, which I'm definitely for.
More experience,
Um,
sure.
I definitely default to what my coach and my team suggests, which is we're going to keep training. Let's keep looking for another good opportunity to show our skills and kind of keep climbing up the pro rankings. And that's all I'm interested in.
Well, that makes perfect sense. A great sort of balanced response. You should be confident after your hard work and that type of performance, but also humble enough to continue to show up to gymnastics class, to get bossed around by an 8-year-old, to continue to allow your coaches and your management team to kind of balance well-rounded, kind of find the pace. So I'm looking forward to it. Reach out to me. I'd love to have you back on whenever your next pro MMA fight is officially booked. That could take some time. Hopefully it's in May.
Yeah.
Might be longer. Can't wait to continue to follow your career. I really appreciate you coming on. You've been listening to Luke Payson for MMA Fancast with guest on the show tonight, coming off a very impressive TKO, round one TKO. Heavyweights always super exciting. Raiden Kovacs, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it,
Good
brother.
talking to you again.
Same to you, sir. Have a good